I just did a video on when not to use UCAN, and I recommended not using it under the 2 to 2.5 hour mark, right? And really, some people, and even UCAN, would be like, oh, that's like the perfect time to use it. Do it before. But I'd rather you eat real food if you're not going to go out and light it up. So there are some exceptions, however, when UCAN is very valuable, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't employ them. And those are in situations where the athlete is working at a very, very high intensity, like a sub 3 hour marathoner, where getting up in the morning would actually be more detrimental to eat breakfast than getting that sleep and sticking with their normal cycle or schedule. And in that case, we have to get some type of food in the morning, but it's got to be semi-soft, it has to be liquid. We don't want it to have a ton of fiber, right? So they don't have to poop. Like, we have bowel movement issues here that have to happen and occur, and we know how that gets all messed up when we get up early for races. So UCAN can be used in those situations. I think it's very valuable in those situations. There's also something called reactive hypoglycemia. Some people are more responsive to this than others, but when we eat a carbohydrate meal that can be maybe less balanced without a lot of fiber and out a lot of fat, which is the typical pre-race breakfast, right? Because we don't want a ton of fiber and we don't want a ton of fat, and we really don't benefit from a ton of protein because they slow down gastric emptying rate. It's going to sit in the belly, it's not going to empty, and you don't want to poop during a race, right? And so, well, at least a short race, sometimes the long ones you got to go. But back to the story here is that the reactive hypoglycemia is when our blood sugar is going to drop, right? If we shoot a gel right before a race, or, we eat 30 to 40 minutes before, and we're like, oh my God, why do I feel like shit? It's because the body released insulin to take that blood sugar out into the cells. But when it does so, it pulls it all out, right? And then you're like, oh man, now I'm hypoglycemic, and you feel like shit. Now, science shows that that's actually going to correct itself when we start to exercise, because when we exercise, we get blood glucose, returning the responses to put blood glucose into the system. But that 30 or 20 to 30 minutes of feeling like shit can really get into your head. You don't know why. And again, some people are more sensitive to this. And I think UCAN, based on my experiences using type 1 diabetics and following blood sugar, is that UCAN could potentially offset that type of reactive hypoglycemia response when we don't have the ability to eat a well-rounded or balanced meal before an event. And yes, all those dietitians and nutritionists out there are like, we should always eat a well-balanced meal of fiber. No, you fucking shouldn't. And you shouldn't eat tons of protein and fiber and heavy fats before. You just shouldn't, not that morning of. So when we're looking at easy to digest, low fiber, low fat, types of low protein breakfasts, UCAN might have a place, and I do employ it that way. I really like the product, so I didn't want to end on a low note by saying don't use it at these particular situations, but you know what, there's exceptions, and I just shared them with you.